Good.
Nice.
One of them days, huh?
It is absolutely one of those days.
All right.
Spring is sprung.
And welcome back to the 7th Star to the Right podcast. I think we're on session 12. So how about that?
Who's keeping count?
I am. Definitely keeping count.
You should probably write that down somewhere then. I'm
I'm
in the
writing
future.
it down somewhere.
Put it on the whiteboard.
In
Jeff.
fact, within my notes, I'm also keeping track of how long you guys have been together, which is, I think, has come to be like a little less than 2 weeks at this point.
So when you
Okay.
say you think we're on session 12, what you actually mean is you're 100% certain that we're on session 12, but you're just trying to be cool about it.
What? Yes. Yes. No, I have it written down specifically here, and I have my session 12 notes up. So yes, it is session 12.
Jeff actually got a tally mark tattoo, and after every session, he does it himself. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I do one of those prison tats.
Yeah, with a
Oh.
sewing needle and a hammer.
Ah.
On that lovely note. But yeah, you guys have been together for a little less than 2 weeks. I think it's like 12 days or something I've calculated. Although like the past 3 episodes have all taken place within the same day.
This
Yeah.
is true.
A lot has happened. Would you guys like to reminisce about what happened these last couple of episodes? Try and get us to where we are right now.
Hey, remember when we found the person on the ship? We were not expecting that. That was fun.
Yeah, fun times.
What we're talking about.
Well, one thing that's fun is we found a bomb and then we just decided to completely ignore it because we decided not to throw it into space. So that's a thing.
Did we
Just
just-
mentioning it.
did
No,
we
we
just
just
leave
left
that
it
there?
there.
You just
We
left the bomb there. You're like,
Yeah, we sure
left
did.
it
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, we
Like,
should
Don't want to
too-
deal with
We
it.
should tell somebody about that. I think we were gonna tell somebody about that.
That's fair. We might have been intending to tell somebody.
Tony
about
is
that.
aware of it.
Or
Yeah.
maybe it's a fun surprise.
In fact, Tony was the one who told you that he thinks
It was
it's
a bomb. Yeah.
Maybe Tony's
Um,
dumb.
Maybe Tony is lying to us.
What does Tony know
Some-
about bombs?
I don't know. Maybe you should ask him.
No. No,
Require
don't care.
talking to Tony? Absolutely.
No.
Why on earth would we talk to Tony?
We'll talk to the dog. Yeah, so anyway, we explored a dungeon area in the form of a ring on the space station. We beat up a bunch of stuff. We found
A lot of stuff. We found
a lot of stuff. Well,
Some of the things
specifically-
being robots that we beat up.
Yes.
We then took as stuff.
This is mine now. So we found an office containing a man named Dr. Kyle Reed. He is somehow affiliated to Dr. Samantha Calvin, which I'm into. It was also a very weird murder scene type thing with like hologram that kept playing on repeat. And also we had to like break into the doors because they were welded shut. But then we got in there and somebody had clearly laid him out in like a respectful funeral fashion, and also his wedding band is missing, and there's a weird puncture wound there that descriptively, from what you can tell looking at it story-wise, screams poison.
Oh no.
and then so we did that. I made copies of everything
You're just taking pictures of literally everything.
while Alix took a nap. And then we grabbed as much stuff as we were able to carry. And then I am now going back to the ship so I can work on repairing myself
Mhm.
because I only have 1 hit point.
Yes, because you took a massive
Hit from
malfunctioning gun to the chest that sent you flying from that heavy war
It's true.
bomb.
I did do that. Yes,
It's better than a functioning gun.
it's true.
Oh,
Probably true.
much better than the functioning one. I think that the functioning gun had like 2d8 worth of damage or something like that.
Hmm.
So
That's a lot of damage.
that's a lot of
That's a lot
damage.
of damage.
So yeah. So you guys wrapped up last session basically saying, yes, we have defeated this ring. We have performed all of the tasks necessary. And Rodana, with her crew, had started, taking control of things. They came down in the elevator. They're starting to secure the different areas.
Right.
And obviously, you guys had gone through R&D too, but because of the amount of damage that was sustained there, when you guys turned on the life support system, that was closed off, as well as the broken walkways between system maintenance and R&D one.
Right.
So right now there's only one path to the elevator, and that's through the residential and recreational section.
if you want to pass into the space station, you must defeat me at foosball in the recreational section.
Or racquetball. Yeah.
Dear God.
All right, that's not cool. You can't do that to Alex. That's not what he sounds like.
I need to practice my Alix voice in case
Oh yeah,
any relatives ever show up.
I'm a sad medic man.
Oops, yeah.
Okay. Well then.
All right,
We're
what's happening?
nihilists.
Where are we, Jeff?
I don't know. I'm
So-
devolving already, and it's only 5 minutes into this episode.
Perfect.
So, you guys have gotten everything that you want. Micah has the bin full of guns.
Hell yeah, I do.
Alix
Alex has
now has
drugs.
drugs, and Nona has, advanced
A whole
robotics.
bunch of parts and,
So,
and the laptop and the
Oh yes, and
someone's
the
laptop.
laptop and the recording device as well, the holographic recording device.
and a black slab, but I found that earlier.
That
and
is
hot
true. So you guys are heading back. What's the current plan of attack right now? Obviously, Nona, you want to get back to your ship so you can
Yeah.
not be at 1 HP anymore. Micah and Alix, what are you exactly heading back for? Are you going to talk to the crew that's cleaning up here? Are you just going to immediately head back up and back to the ship?
They came down, so we're still like
So
in the.
yeah, the idea was you guys were sort of the vanguard. You secure the area, turn everything on, and then they were going to come up and sort of back you up, and then start securing the area in case the automated defense systems decide to send another wave up, right? Because now you kind of control this area, this ring, as a chokehold, and the first ring is ideally protected because they have to go through the second ring first.
Yeah, I guess if Nona is heading over. To the ship-
Yeah. So I would be heading in that direction if I am in any way walking past Desdemona. We said she was here or no?
Desdemona.
Who? Rodana.
Rodana. jeez.
Desdemona.
Who the heck? Okay. Yeah. Great. Rodana.
Rodana.
I have no idea where that came from.
It's a great name.
It's a really
good
cool name.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a
Somebody
good one.
write it down for later. Yes.
Desdemona.
Rodana, if I am walking past her, I'm just going to mention briefly that I want my 1/6 of this in robots and robot parts, not
Only.
money. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. And so you guys are making your way. You obviously went through the residential and recreational, and that's where Alix got his drugs. And you guys are walking down this the pathway in between the sort of main elevator shaft and the outside ring, and you can see a bunch of these Ursamen, the Paragon freelancers, setting up sandbags here and there, preparing to secure this particular location, very similar to what you saw at the first ring. All right.
Before we get too close to anybody, I want to kind of pull Micah aside a little bit and just kind of like good job, mission accomplished. I wanted to quickly drop all of my dice and then immediately afterwards just apologize for my earlier outburst. Not for the sentiment beside it, but for the candor behind it. I suppose there are better ways to solve things than shouting. So yeah, that's it. That's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get where you were coming from. I maybe get a little gung ho sometimes, so
Gung-ho.
I can.
Yeah. I don't like
I can,
apologies are weird.
yeah, I can try and keep an eye out to not stress you out too much when we try and do that. But appreciate it. Okay. I'm gonna punch you in the shoulder.
Everybody hits the same shoulder. Cool.
Awesome. So you guys have that little talk as you're making your way up, and you can see a bunch of Paragon freelancers that you've seen but haven't sort of formally met, putting things up and around. You see Rodana as you guys head more towards the elevator. She's in that opening that you guys found before, and obviously, when you first found this state, there were a bunch of bodies sort of just strewn about in various states of disarray. And it appears they've sort of been starting to be put over to one side and stacked and have like little cloths over top of them. You see Rodana in the opening here talking with is it Zix or Dix?
Zix is the big one.
Zix is the big one. Talking with Zix as well as Tony, who seems to be debriefing them. And Rodana sees you guys approach, and she comes towards you guys and says, nice work.
Yeah, easy peasy.
All right.
You guys couldn't deal with this?
We wanted to see what was down here, and it was easier to send people who are not necessarily affiliated with us.
More expendable.
Contractors, really.
Hey, you know what? I'm not complaining. I'm gonna heft up my box of shit.
You guys get to reap some of the rewards. We get to reap the other half of the rewards, and now we have a place where we can live.
Speaking of which, I would like my 1/6 of the spoils of this to be in the form of robots and robot
Accessories.
Yes, robots and robot accessories.
And Rodana sort of looks at you like, yeah, it could be arranged. So when it comes to payment, it's going to take a while to sell all of this stuff off. We can probably get everything sort of appraised so we can tell you guys about what you're getting, but we're not going to be able to give it to you all right now. We need to be able to sell off this stuff beforehand, but we can certainly take the advanced parts out of the equation, take that out of your sort of 6th, and we can move on from there. And she looks over at Tony, who gives her a quick little nod, and she looks at you, Nona, and said, I heard you took a big bash down there. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine enough. Nothing a little rest and relaxation won't cure.
I handled the first aid aspect of it. Decently patched up.
Well, maybe you want to get it checked out with Diane in the med bay just to make sure everything's all right. Internal bleeding can be a hell of a thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, of course.
All right. And she gives you guys a terse nod and sort of goes back to discussing with Zix and Tony.
There's nothing worse than somebody who is not a medical professional who is like, oh, you know what's bad? I've heard that internal bleeding is very bad. I googled it, and it might be space internal bleeding.
Space WebMD experts over here.
Great.
So you guys want to just take the elevator up? You don't have to do it manually anymore. You can actually use the elevator, so no climbing up and down that ladder. Is that what you guys
Yeah,
want to do?
that'd be nice.
Cool.
Elevators are good.
So you guys take the elevator up. And, you know, there's obviously less people around in this ring right now because most of them are down, sort of securing that second ring. What do you guys immediately sort of want to do? Nona's the only one really hurt, so I know what your sort of plan of attack was. And you just sort of like wave as you leave to go towards the ship to have some privacy to do that. Micah and Alix, what are you guys planning on doing? Oh, also, by the way, there's been a dog with you this entire time.
Right. Yes.
This has been following you guys.
This.
Let me know which way you go, and I'll tell you which way the dog goes.
I would probably. I'm going to go check on Claire and just kind of see how that's going.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Drop off my crate at the ship immediately, but then circle back.
That's a good call.
Yeah, go see Claire too.
Okay, so we've got Nona and Micah heading off to the ship to drop some things off and to fix themselves up.
Mm-hmm.
And Alix, you are going to go with to check on Claire.
Yeah.
So you guys go off and do that.
If Micah were to help me fixing, would that go any faster, or is it just sort of locked in at 15 minutes?
You know what? I'm going to say with the assist, it halves the time.
Sweet. Then I'm going to request assistance.
Micah can hold the flashlight.
Pretty much. Well, she's got the fixed skill. I think.
Yeah. I've got some background, not with like
whatever
super robots, but I could probably help. Yeah.
And so you guys go off and do that. You're fixing Nona up. Make sure to. So how this works is, I didn't say it on air, so I'm going to say it now.
Do it.
One part is worth a character level worth of healing. So obviously for Nona to get all the way back up to, I think, 9 HP, you're going to need to spend 3 parts. And sadly, you lose
that one.
And each one of those parts takes about 15 minutes in order to sort of use up and gain that healing. And in order to help, you need to have at least fix 0, which I believe both Micah and Nona have. So you guys are good working on that. Alix, you guys sort of split up and you go start heading towards the med bay, and this was it Bernie's mountain dog is following you.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Just not doing anything, just sort of panting and just falling at your heels.
I stop as I realize that it's like following me, and I look at it, and I keep walking.
And it keeps walking.
I stop and I look at it. Like, you know, there are others. There was the ones who like actually found you.
And it just sort of takes a sit down and pants as it waits for you to do something.
In this episode, Alix has a staring contest with a robot dog. Riveting.
Okay.
Who will blink first?
Good. I guess. Well, I'll introduce you, and then I'll go to the med bay.
So it follows you the entire way, hasn't barked or anything like that, or said "danger, danger, master" again.
Okay. Which
It's a thing that it can
sign.
do, which is it's generally a good sign that doesn't happen.
It's so stupid.
So you open the door to the med bay, and you're obviously familiar with it. Fu is on one bed, still sort of nursing his laser rifle injury, and Claire is the bed is now sort of inched up a little bit, so she's not holding herself up, but she is sort of not completely in parallel to the ground. You know how hospital beds do, and Danny. As well as Adam is in there, and they Danny and Claire are just chatting back and forth. Oh. And Claire sees you come in and says, "Oh, hi, Alix.
Hi, you're awake. That's good. Don't get up. And then I'll go grab a seat somewhere over by Claire. Yeah, just came to drop by. I'm very comfortable in sterile environments, so this is nice."
And obviously you walk in, and the dog follows, and Claire sort of speaks up and says, "You understand you have a dog following you?"
Yeah, I was hoping that, if I never addressed it, because this is all theater of the mind, and we don't have anything that nobody else would say anything either. but yeah, this is a dog, and it followed me, and that's really honestly all I know about it.
And she
do you like dogs? I guess.
She smiles at obviously you don't love the fact that this dog is following you, and yeah, I like them. We have some of them on Orisiame, none this big. And she goes down to pet it, and he licks her hand back. And she says, "I was under the impression that there were not other live things here, like organic."
Don't know how you got that impression, given you've been in the med bay stoned out of your mind this whole time, woman.
Well,
I've been talking with Dan.
That was not in character.
Well, the boundless love that a dog has for people that can do some pretty crazy shit, like let it survive in vacuums. The dog never really dies.
The dog never dies.
Trust me, we tried.
And Danny, who's still here, speaks up at that and says, "Oh, Adam, I think you have a cousin." And Adam sort of looks down at the dog and sort of squats to his level and says, "Hello." And the dog just barks in response. "Maybe. I was found on this ship. Are you saying this dog was also found on this ship?"
Wait, was that the response to the dog?
No, Adam got back up and is addressing you, Alex.
Oh, okay. Yes, this dog was found on the ship. Down under.
And Danny sort of squats down and starts inspecting it and says, "Wow, this is a really good replication. Okay. And this is one of the things you guys carried back?"
I look at Claire. Claire likes the dog.
Claire seems to, she's been petting the dog and sort of like smiling as she's petting it.
Okay, but you got to take care of it.
Our space daughter, you must take care of this dog if you would like to adopt it.
It's a good way to teach her responsibility. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, not me, but, kind of a team lift effort. After, once we got up, he can walk, as dogs do.
And Claire speaks up and says, "Does he have a name?"
No.
Oh, okay. Just been calling him dog, or not even like really?
Oh, no, I have not been addressing the dog, no.
Oh, okay. And she looks down at it and says, "We could probably think of a name for this thing." And he obviously likes that and is wagging his tail.
Nice.
We did it.
Yeah, it's good. I've never had a very good naming sense, so it's probably for the best that it's not me.
She sort of nods at that.
I can't. My name is spelled incorrectly too. There's an I. There's 2 I's in Alexander. It's pretty fucking smart.
It's got about 20 eyes at the end, but all of those are silent.
So you guys sort of just sort of hanging out in the med bay. Anything else that you particularly want to talk to Claire about? She seems obviously better than she was. Obviously still not 100%. She is still bedridden. She still has a very pale complexion, which, considering that she is already a very pale person, is kind of impressive. So you just sort of check in on her and sitting, just hanging out with her, Danny, and Fu, who's sleeping over a couple cots over.
Yeah, like literally just like taking down, being in a med bay is nice, is a good thing for Alix.
Yeah. You guys have a chat.
What, you don't want to lecture her about the dangers of drug use, Alix?
No.
So
Dare doesn't work. You can't.
Got it.
So you guys are off doing that. Micah and Nona, you guys are at the ship, and obviously you take off your vac suit that wasn't necessarily needed,
Doing
and
all that much.
You are sort of open up the different compartments, and it is kind of weird, Micah, because on the outside, obviously Nona looks to be very human. Like, to just a visual inspection, it is exactly what a human would look like, but she obviously can pull sort of her stomach apart, and you can see some of the damaged circuitry in there, and she's just sort of ripping stuff out and putting other things in and say, "Hey, can you hold this?" And you're just watching this as sort of she's working on herself.
Yeah, I saw her like opening up her chest to get to her core earlier, so I have some idea of what to expect, but especially with how much damage there is, that looks pretty gnarly. I will try and help how I can.
I appreciate you.
Okay. So you guys doing that happens.
Yeah, I'm also going to ditch the vac suit on the ship and change back into my secure clothing.
Cool.
I'm contemplating to myself whether I want to ditch the rest of the stuff as well, or if I should continue carrying that on me.
The advanced components and stuff.
The advanced components, the hopefully plot relevant laptop, the other. I have 3 laptops now, I think, assuming a dataslab is vaguely a laptop.
Yeah,
because I got my normal one, I got the darknet one, and I have the plot relevant one, which I think are all different things.
Yeah, so the black slab is basically more of a hacking device.
Yeah,
at this point, because it has a lot of those sort of algorithms and viruses that allows you to bypass certain types of security systems. Whereas I think, do you have a compact? I guess you also have a data slab as well.
I do.
Right?
I've got, I think, hold up.
Yeah, a data slab is effectively a science fiction computer.
Yep.
So yeah, you
I was just more remarking on the fact that I'm carrying around 3 laptops.
So you
cool. I think I'm going to put in my quarters, which will finally be useful for something. I'm going to put the projection disc in there, and I'm going to put the I'll leave the black slab for now. I think I'll put that in there too.
Okay, so you're housing some of the more important stuff.
Starting a horde.
Yeah. So obviously, Tony saw the hologram and stuff like that. But are you just gonna say, "I'm taking this," and
it was part of my thing that I carried?
I want it. It's
Exactly.
pretty. No reason other than that. Okay, so you guys wrap up there. Do you guys immediately do anything there after you meeting up with Alix in the med bay? You're just hanging out on the ship. You haven't really been given any specific directions. You assume that Rodana will eventually like talk to you guys more in depth about the findings that she's had and what the next sort of plans of action are. What are you guys doing in the meantime?
After Nona's kind of more or less patched up and she seems like she's doing better, I'm going to head down to the med bay.
Cool.
Yeah, I will follow. I'll go with them.
So you guys are reconvening in med bay. You find the dog. You find Alix. You find Danny and Adam have left at this point, and Claire is just sort of hanging out with Alix, and Fu is all the way on the other end of the med bay, still sort of sleeping off his issues. You guys have anything exactly you want to say or talk to her about? Just sort of making idle chit chat.
Yeah, it's like, how you doing, kid? Feeling a little better?
And she looks up at you, Mike, and says, yeah, it's not ideal, but you know, gotta work your way through it somehow, right?
Yeah, you're a trooper.
And she's obviously a little guarded. You can kind of see that there's like a layer of guilt and stuff like that, and she's just not super comfortable with everything right now. So yeah, you guys are you're hanging out there. Actually, after a couple of 15-20 minutes, Diane actually comes in and says, "Oh, Nona, I was looking for you. I needed to give you a quick checkup. Rodana told me to." And she goes over and starts like rummaging through supplies.
Okay. I just want to call out that I am feeling fine, and I am a little bit resentful of Tony for assuming that just because I am a woman, I cannot take a hit. Look at me. I am doing okay.
Oh boy. That's a thing to say. And obviously Diane is a woman as well. Could you roll a wisdom talk check?
No, leave me alone.
Sorry, charisma talk check.
We sure can try.
I will say I think that particular choice of words helped you out.
Fantastic. That did not, though. I got a 4.
So Diane is a little bit taken aback by, she's never really heard you talk like this before. And she goes, hey, if you don't want me to, it just sounded like you could have gotten a bad hit and just wanted to make sure we checked everything.
I can understand that, but I am okay.
And she looks over at you, Alix. And
I keep telling people that, like, I worked on her and she was fine. She just needs a little bit more rest. But, you know, don't trust the doctor.
And Diane just sort of gives a smirk and then just shakes her head and says, "All right, I won't. If you guys are good doing you do you." And she goes over and starts checking on Fu. So you guys hanging out in the med bay, chatting with Claire and everything. And after a while, Rodana comes in and says, "All right, so next plan of action is obviously to get down into the final layer. Right now, we're looking through all of the documents and computers that they have down on that second ring. We're looking to see if we can find any schematics so you have a better idea of what exactly is going on here in this station. In the meantime, you guys have free reign of the station. Go to the mess hall if you want. Use medbay if you need to. We'll talk more about exactly what we found on those rings, as well as how much monetary value they might have. Other than that, I'll let you guys know when I do. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds great. Just one question. Did Tony point out the briefcase that was handcuffed to a person? And by person, I mean corpse.
And Rodana looks at you and says, yeah, Zix is taking a look at that now and seeing exactly if it's anything we need to worry about, if it's inert or if it's active. It hasn't gone off this long, so hopefully it won't choose now to go off. But he's taking good care of it.
Okay, good. Yeah, just checking.
When are we going to head into the next section, you think?
Well, as soon as you guys want to go, well, we probably want some schematics. We're obviously trying to turn off the automated defenses, which, since they don't appear to be in the second ring, appear to be down farther into the bowels of the station. We assume once we turn off that, we'll have free reign of the entire place. But I don't know, it could be a couple of days.
All right.
She
I guess let us know.
Will do. And she walks out. So you guys obviously have free reign of where you guys are right now. What are you guys? Let's just sit down for a second and say, like, what is each person here, Micah, Nona, and Alix? What are you trying to do in these next couple of days before you try and presumably go and try and turn off these internal defenses? Like, obviously, a lot happened for Nona at the very least last episode, and you guys have also been working together for almost 2 weeks now. But you obviously each have your own sort of personal goals. So just what exactly are each of you thinking right now? What are you trying to get out of these next couple of days? Is there anyone you're trying to talk to specifically?
I think for Alex's part, at least, there's nobody who he is 100% gonna reach out to. At some point, he's gonna ask about the ship again, getting new credentials for it, making sure that, you know, when this is all done and we continue on to Ursiame, like that the ship's all ready. So probably like Zix or whoever's going to be working on that. Otherwise, I think he just kind of circles between cafeteria only for meals, like back to the ship, and then checking on Claire every once in a while, and that's it.
So very much Alix is keeping to himself and stuff like that.
Yeah. Nona's got 2 goals, really. One being retrieving that temporary core from wherever she hid it and working on plugging it into the ship properly. I know we discussed last time that would take a while, so we didn't have time to do that. Don't know how long that's going to take, but that would be next goal. And then after that is finished, going through just all of the information that was taken, I'm going to start with the easy stuff. And then if I make it all the way through that, going to go try to get into the laptop somehow.
Okay.
Potentially using my black slab, as it is a master hacking device.
So, it depends on how focused you are on adding this component to the ship itself. I think this would be something along the lines of modding the ship, which does require quite a bit of time, parts, and money. Yeah. So I can look that up at another time. But yeah, we can definitely, that is something that can definitely happen over these.
And that's sort of an if else. If we don't have the resources for it, that's also fine.
But you could at the very least get started on putting this work together. So obviously modding the ship, going over the information that you have currently, trying to get into the laptop. Are you going to be going down into the second ring to try and gather more information?
It definitely a possibility. I was sort of expecting to do that if anybody else also wanted to go back there. I don't think I would wander back there by myself, but if there's anybody sitting around like sort of doing nothing, or if somebody else ends up wanting to go back there and just check stuff out, I will follow.
Okay.
I think that's sort of priority 3. Getting back there and seeing more information is, first of all, protect little part of my soul that I cut off better. Second part, just digest the massive amount of information that I already have. And then third priority being go down and see if there's anything I missed.
Cool. Micah?
Yeah, I'm going to try and track down Rodana. I think kind of when she's like a little bit away from everyone else. I want to ask her a couple of questions about stuff she might have heard about a company called Zethra, weapons sales that might be sent to Orisiame.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's kind of this place, or she has any connections or knowledge about that I might be able to pick her brain about, maybe do some work for her in exchange, anything along those lines.
Mm-hmm. So networking a little bit.
Networking a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So you go up to Rodana, and she's obviously overseeing a lot of work that's happening on level 2. You heard earlier that she was going through the documents as well as with Zix and Dix. She's also overseeing some maintenance of the different sections and walkways to try and get it, up and running again, rather than the disheveled husk that it is now. And she's overseeing stuff, but you can tell that she's not quite like actively in. So you go up to her and start talking to her. And what was this company's name?
Zithra.
Nice.
She goes, yeah, I've heard of them. What are you trying to learn about Zithra?
Well, yeah, I've heard they've got a little bit of an operation going on with Orsiame. I don't know how much they're like a little bit away from here, but there's kind of a whole, warfront situation there. And yeah, I kind of wanted to look into a little bit more, maybe like how they work. And we're all cool here, right? We're cool, right? Like we're helping you guys out.
And she sort of nods at that and says, yeah, I think I've heard of Zithra. We interacted on a few times. Can't say that we left on the best of terms. They are very particular about certain things, especially the civil war that's happening on Orisiame. As to their current whereabouts, not entirely sure. I think they're still in the Metanar system, hanging around Orisiame, at least based. That's where they get a lot of their traffic from, doing things for the children. And she goes into thought, says, I did hear that they were trying to move a shipment of parts and weapons into Orisiame, particularly for one of the more embattled zones, coming from the give me a sec, I need to pull up the right information here. The Pani Paola system. Weird stuff. So dropping back from this conversation, the Pani Paola system, this is sort of the entrance into the Tiger Head cluster. If you guys remember, that is sort of the cluster of systems that you guys are currently in. And so it's basically the entrance to the rest of like Metanar and Magalka and all the other systems that you have yet to even talk about. So some weird things come in through there that come from other clusters and other sort of sectors that are outside of your immediate neighborhood. And as she's talking about this, she says, yeah, it was the shipment apparently has got a lot of very expensive stuff in it. Some kind of newfangled weaponry. Not entirely sure what they're planning on using it for, but generally weaponry like that ain't not used for good or protecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a bit of an interest in that shipment. I think you might be able to point me toward someone who maybe knows a little bit more, maybe what kind of directions they're taking.
Well, Danny's head of communications. If anyone's heard anything, you could probably talk to her about it. She would definitely know more. Her and Adam are trying to listen in on all those different frequencies to see if they can learn anything that might give us an edge. I'd go talk to her.
All right. Cheers. Thanks, dude.
And she nods and goes back to her work. So, Nona, are you, when you interact with, when you're trying to find all of this information, right? Are you interacting with people, or are you just sort of going over all of the stuff that you immediately took?
I'm mostly reviewing all of the stuff that I took and trying to, at that time it was grab as much information as you can and get out with the intent to sort of digest it later. And particularly
from Kyle.
Yes, from Kyle Reed's office.
Okay.
Generally, I was going for general information about robots, such that it might be something that pertains to me,
Mhm.
either figuring out what's missing or learning how to repair myself better, very like survival-esque kind of goal oriented, and then pictures of the files and stuff that were on his desk in order to better determine where Dr. Samantha Calvin may have gone.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, I took the laptop for the same reason, with the suspicion that there might be information on there that is useful.
Okay. So I'm going to have you make a couple of rolls. And I'm
Sure
trying to
thing.
think of the best way to sort of have you go through this information. In fact, this might be something I'm going to actually use the administer, going through these
Oh,
bureaucratic sort of
fun.
documents and stuff like that. I think this is the first administer skill check. So give me an intelligence administer. And also you are aware that this is a skill that Alix has. So if
Oh,
you want to
sweet.
seek out his help and say, help me look through these things. you're free to do so.
If I suspect Alix can help with that, 100% for sure, I will go find him.
Where are you doing this?
I've been sort of like basing myself on the ship
Okay.
as a default.
Yeah, if it's on the ship, for sure, you can track him down.
Sweet.
I'll help.
Hooray.
So we each roll.
Friends.
Jeff, we each roll.
Yes, sorry, I'm writing something down.
How dare you?
Administer intelligence. You are assisting, so the idea is if you get above the thing, you give her a bonus.
I got a 5.
I got an 8.
Okay. So there are definitely some things you learn, obviously, by going off of what the particular things that you're looking for. I have a list of notes here that I'm going to go through and give them out to you, which means I need to read. Apologies.
That's completely fine.
Yeah, a couple of things. It seems for whatever reason, well, obviously, so this station itself, it had two purposes.
Right.
There was the sort of the money-making purpose, and there was the research purpose.
Mhm.
The money-making purpose, it was specifically created to make on-demand robotics for various roles. They made a lot of soldier robots, security robots, like loaders and stuff like that. And so, like, even janitor robots. And they were making those for people who sort of gave in specific orders. And that was the money-making aspect of it. This is something that we've sort of iterate upon, and that's sort of how we make our money so we can do this other thing.
Right.
And the research aspect of it was really looking more into trying to build these synthetic beings and these artificial intelligence that could learn and sort of were more malleable. So you didn't necessarily have to have a janitor robot or a soldier robot. You could just create sort of this, for lack of a better word, like stem cell robot, where you could put it into a particular job and then say, this is what your job, and it sort of grow into that job and learn from it, rather than having to maintain all of these different virtual intelligences for all of these different jobs. And there were also other purposes, like they were looking at a bunch of different purposes for true AI. Additionally, for sort of like transhumanism. So the idea of taking a flash of someone's mind and their brain, and then sort of imprinting that on top of something true AI, so one could effectively transcend their humanity or their mortal coil.
That's not going to come up later. It's fine.
Oh,
Random side
absolutely
fact.
not. The random side plot.
I'm throwing away my humanity, Jojo.
And also just practice in creating just synthetic life. So that's obviously what that pet bot division was doing, because it's obviously easier to replicate animal behavior than human behavior. So yeah, this one side of it, which was the money-making business, where they took orders and gave out these different types of robots for various uses, and then the research part. And they were backed by the oligarchy on the planet of Gal. So obviously, that information is given out to you specifically. So that's what you learn from all of the various documents that you have in front of you.
Sounds
now, I want you to try and hack into the laptop itself. Okay. So I believe that's an intelligence
hack
program.
Fantastic. I also would like to use the black slab if that is relevant here.
Yes, that will give you a +1.
Fantastic.
Time to hack.
Oh my goodness gracious. 8.
And that was with the +1?
That is with all of the pluses. Yes, I am rolling very poorly today.
All right. Yeah, so you get in. You don't have complete control of the laptop, but you can scan sort of some of the surface files. And you think with a little bit more time, you can get in and get more information from them. But there's some information on this laptop as well. It seems more, rather than this administration, sort of how this ship works, it's definitely a lot more personal to Kyle Reed themselves. He had a long chat file with a Dr. Samantha Calvin. Her office was particularly on the other end of the station, in the second ring on the other end. If you remember, there's rings
separated
on both sides.
by space. Two lovers.
There are so many dick pics.
A space divides their people.
Scanning some of their more recent talks back and forth, she appears to have come from Orisiame, the planet of Orisiame.
Sweet.
And additionally, she was both head researcher as well as chief technical officer of the station. And they were talking a lot about the creation known as Quinn, which you heard referenced in the hologram recording as well. And they talk about these designs specifically for her core, which is, rather than a spherical thing, a tall cylinder that is sort of stood up by different steel sort of structure. What is the thing?
Agreed.
No, scaffold.
Got it.
There you go. So obviously it needs to sort of be housed a little bit differently.
Cool.
I think that is, so that's sort of what you gather specifically from that. There's also some weird talkings about something that Calvin was particularly working on, this idea of sort of quantum relocation, which sounds a little bit of course. Which sounds a little bit similar to what you are innately aware that is your quantum phylactery. This talk about sort of,
you take the quantum and you put it over there.
you can't quite understand or follow exactly what she's talking about. It's very, very dry, very scientific, but it sounds similar to this sort of dual location of a single sort of being.
And that was called what again? Sorry, I didn't type quite fast enough.
It was quantum relocation.
Relocation. Cool. Before we move on, particularly if Alix has been helping me this entire time, I would just like to turn to him.
Yes, of course. I've been sitting right next to you.
That was the whole time. Question for you.
Sure.
Does mentioning the fact that you're a woman work to dissuade people of bothering you at all, or only when it comes to physical things? Because that worked out a lot better than I expected it to.
Well, I am probably not the person to be asking about this, simply because I'm not a woman. I know that I try not to bother anyone, but you should probably seek advice from somebody who is not me on this one.
Do you think Micah would know?
I think Micah could help.
Fantastic. I'll remember this for later.
So that is information that you sort of were trying to gather. You got that sort of the basic workings of the station, a little bit more about where they were at this point in time with sort of creating a true artificial intelligence, as well as some personal ties that Dr. Samantha Calvin maybe had.
Fantastic.
Alix, you've been sort of going through your rounds. You helped out Nona. You been going to the mess hall for food, sticking around on the ship, visiting Claire, who does day by day, hour by hour, seem to be getting better and better. She's obviously still not great, still throwing up occasionally. You found that her and the dog have kind of bonded, and he sort of hangs out with her.
The dog doesn't follow me anymore?
No.
Good. Great.
Fantastic.
Alex loves that.
It wasn't getting any love from you, and Claire started showing it some love, so it stuck around with her. And you visit her, and she's obviously getting better.
Have you you guys are getting pretty close. Have you come up with a name yet?
And she pets it and says, there's this old story about a dog that waited for their master and was really old and everything. And when, he got back from his long voyage, it just was happy to see him, even though for some reason the man couldn't say hi, and he sort of just died right there. Something about an odyssey.
I've never heard this story. This sounds like a sad story, Claire.
And she's sort of pouting a little bit. I don't. This dog waited.
What's the name?
Argos.
That's, you know what, Claire.
She looks down and sort of she's pouting and is like, I thought that was a good name.
You know what? That's a good name. That's a fantastic name. It makes it all worth it. I will have to. You'll have to tell me the story at some point now, just because. Wow, that's a good name.
Okay, you saved it. You can't give me
roll charisma talk check.
Roll for bullshit.
Charisma talk, yeah.
Fantastic.
Charisma talk. 9.
Okay, she is appeased by your apology.
Fantastic.
She did not see through your bullshit.
Alex likes that. Alex likes that. 1, it was appeased, and 2, Claire got mad at him. He thinks it's funny.
And the dog has, rather than just sort of sat next to her bed and having its head petted, is curled up on the bed itself as you guys are having this conversation.
Register name Argos.
And it just sort of looks up at you and tilts its head.
Select star from name equals Argos.
Drop table.
Drop table dog.
The dog dies.
If dog exists, drop dog.
Oh no.
It just falls over.
So, Alix, you were also going to try and reach out to whoever was sort of in charge of the mission to rewrite those databases specifically for the ownership of the Phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you talked to Rodana about it, and it's Zix and Dix are the ones who are sort of heading that mission. They have the technology in order to sort of override that information, and Fu and Diane are going to be the ones to sort of infiltrate and sort of put that, because they actually need a connection to the database itself, and then they'll run Dix and Zix's program. So you guys come in. Sorry, not you guys. Alix, you go to look for Zix, and he is in the laboratory on the first ring, his little workshop, and he's going through and playing when you come in, and you can tell that he is messing around with the bomb that you left earlier.
Is there any kind of blast shield or anything set up?
No, absolutely not.
Just noping right out of there.
Yeah, Alex.
It does appear to be taken apart slightly.
Alex hangs over by the door, assuming it's not like too far, like a single pang of fear, like little heart stop. And then I say, hello, good. Time has no meaning on the ship. Hello. Hi, do you have a moment?
And Zix looks up and says, certainly.
First of all, is the fuse or however that works off? I don't want to take another step closer unless I know.
And he scratches his head and is,
I'm 95% sure that it is.
Can we talk outside?
And he looks
It'll
over
be quick.
at
I
you.
just I just want to make sure we're fine, Just checking in.
And he gives as much of a pout as you can see out of, because this is the crystals completely cover his body and can only really see his mouth. So you can kind of can't see his facial expression, but he does a little pout with his mouth. Says,
All right.
and you guys take this conversation out into the hallway.
Good. Yeah. Sorry to disrupt your work. I know that I've made a bad habit of it, not just with you, but just kind of in general. I interrupt a lot of people. So I'm kind of checking in on the Phoenix and getting that registration changed and up to date. I just kind of wanted to see what the timeline was on it. If there's anything I can do to help, I doubt it, but figured it's nice to ask.
And he thinks a little bit and says,
No, we're working on the algorithm right now to try and fix up the whole issue. We'll obviously need your particular IDs at that point so we can inject that into the database itself. But
How many? All of our IDs? Just one?
just
perhaps?
the owner
Just the owner.
or who you want
Somebody
to
to
write
register
as the
with.
owner.
Yo.
Okay,
My ship.
fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll get Dix to get that from you guys. In the meantime, we'll probably have Diane and Fu go out and get it. There are more less heavy-handed. What's the word? Infiltration. Or there are infiltrators, and that they'll get an access to one of those consoles so we can inject that information into the database, and you guys should be all set. As for timeline, probably we're gonna need to wait until Fu heals up, and then they also need to get over into Cass for that, which will probably be another 6 days of traveling unless they take the Laughing Devil, which has a spike, and he goes into a sort of technical over.
So like a week,
Yeah,
maybe less.
maybe.
Got it. Got it.
Maybe more.
And good. Well, I don't want to keep you for too long. It's an interesting project. This device. Looking back at the
And
room.
yes, his face lights up. He says,
Very interesting.
"It is some sort of pre-tech bomb.
I think it's some kind of pseudo nuke.
And you enjoy having this in your workspace and living space?
Well, it doesn't. It appears to require some sort of arming mechanism in order to even fire. And considering we don't know how to arm it yet, it probably won't explode. 5% chance, give or take some percentage, but it's mostly inert. Probably.
and he goes back into the laboratory. Could you make a quick intelligence snow check for me,
Mhm.
please?
Yes. How much does Alix know?
How much does Alex?
He does not know.
You know nothing, Alex.
Whatever your
Last
last name
name.
is.
Insert last name
Also,
here.
if I am
7.
once stuff is appropriate, I'm gonna go find Micah.
Okay.
Just so we can
7
be buds.
no.
So with that 7 no, so nukes are something of way, way past. So before like pre-tech era, this was like it's modern day, nukes from today.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. So you heard of nukes. They were a very barbaric, not extremely useful device that once nuke snuffers came about, which effectively prevents a nuke from actually activating. It basically renders it inert within a field. So any major city, any major space station would have these nuke snuffers just sort of built as a part of them. This is where this pre-tech artifact comes in, which is a pseudo nuke, and it's able to bypass that snuffing field and effectively is a nuke in a briefcase.
So are we saying that it's a pseudo nuke as in like a fake one, or are we saying it's a pseudo nuke as in when a computer doesn't want to do
SUDO,
something?
It's spelled as a fake one, but it may be a little less powerful than an actually nuclear warhead, but it's on that sort of level of devastation and is able to actually bypass these nuke snuffers, which have basically become like, because really anyone in this day and age could make a nuke, and
Sure.
so they're really used anywhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
So as Zix retreats, Alix stares after him for a little bit and then goes, I need to get the fuck off of this ship. And then he turns around and he walks away.
So Nona, you were trying to find Micah?
Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with Micah.
Okay. Anything in particular? You're just hanging out.
Well, I
Hey,
mean,
no,
if
It's
we
on your
ever
mind.
well, two things actually. First of all, I was thinking about maybe swinging back through the second ring.
Yep.
Second ring, see if we missed anything useful the first time. Also, I have a question. Are we by ourselves?
Yes, you can be on the ship or something.
Okay, perfect. So, in an attempt to deflect away from my health, I mentioned that I was a woman and that there was a man who was trying to, put me down. I think I've heard before. I saw this
noticed
used in
that,
a bar
yeah.
once, and it was very effective. I'm just wondering, are there other use cases?
Okay, yeah. I did notice that you pulled that card back in the med bay. Honestly, I don't think you need to do that. Dude, you're a strong woman. You don't have to mess around kind of getting people to give you pity or something. You're better than that. I don't think
I
you
will
need it.
point out they were going to scan me and find out
Oh,
that
I know.
I was a robot.
Oh, no, like that, it worked. Do what you got to do. It worked. I think we probably could have navigated that a different way. I'm just saying, if you're asking me, as if they're giving you shit, and maybe people do all the time, just fuck them. It's not a trick that I really pull because I feel like it's demeaning yourself. But it'll work.
Okay. Use in case of emergencies. Got it.
Sure. You know what? Whatever works for you. You gotta find your own way.
Gotta pave your own road, your own path.
It got Diane off your back, so yeah, whatever. If it works, it works.
Shrug.
Nona writes down in her notebook, if it works, it works.
This is
Underlined. If it works.
So, did you mention you guys want to do a second go?
That's
through of the
what I was
second ring?
asking. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
if Micah wants to
take a
join me.
stroll around. I think I saw some of the folks from the ship kind of going down the elevator, picking around stuff, but we can take a stroll.
Alix, are you guys inviting Alix?
If
You don't have to.
that is able to happen, we've sort of just been all doing our own thing, bouncing around. But if we can figure out where he is with minimal effort, sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
probably
he's-
catching me on the way back from the pseudo nuke.
Being worried about the bomb.
It's like, I need to get off this
I need to get off. Oh, hello.
goddamn station as soon as possible before we blow ourselves up. So you guys head down and to the second ring to sort of oversee stuff, and you're looking specifically for just anything and everything.
So I think I am going to specifically avoid Kyle Reed's office unless somebody else draws attention to it. Somebody from the
Paragon Freelancers.
Paragon Freelancers. Thank you. The good guy, McGood guys. And
The good guys for pay.
so unless somebody specifically draws attention to that, I'm going to actively avoid that and instead go looking through for just other useful stuff and information from the labs kind of thing.
Okay.
And very much a let's just wander around and see what we see kind of thing. So if either of you want to go somewhere specific, speak now.
I think if anything, Alix is gonna give the directory another kind of once over.
Mhm.
I guess looking for Calvin, presumably who had an office, though they might be on the other side of a blast door at this point. And then Dr. Kyle XY. Kyle Reed.
I forgot about
Kyle
that.
Reed, or anything, if there's anything that catches his eye there, but otherwise just kind of looking for stuff to do because he's just there to accompany Nona because they asked him to be there, so he's there.
So, yeah, you guys are looking around. Things are a little bit nicer than when you guys first come down.
All the bodies are stacked nicely.
Yeah. So, one of the things that you had been hearing about is just that's one of the things that Rodana has trying to do as soon as possible because now that life support is sort of on and bodies are sort of around.
Gross.
Yeah. You don't necessarily want that. They're mummified in space, but not the greatest thing to sort of keep around if you're trying to move in there. So they have been trying to be as like, what's the word? Respectful to the bodies as possible, but they have been sort of piling them in different places and getting ready to
Out into space.
give them a space Viking funeral.
Fantastic.
Or they go out into the void and you hit them with a laser.
Yeah.
Like the Death Star.
And obviously they're continuing to work on the different areas to try and make them more up to living standards.
Cool.
And have been using the dual sort of blast doors in order to work on the second R&D. So you guys can't get into second R&D because that's something that they're working on. And currently doesn't have any oxygen and stuff like that. But you can get through all the other sections, system maintenance, R&D and stuff like that. As you guys are looking around, you, Alex, you were specifically looking for a sort of directory. And like there's one sort of on the walls, but you don't see any mention of Dr. Samantha Calvin. As you're paging through sort of like HR notes, you do notice that there were a bunch of offices, both in other R&D wings, both on the second ring that you guys are currently on, as well as the second ring of the other end. And you do see a Dr. Samantha Calvin did apparently have an office over there as well. A wide array of people and positions as well. You have a bunch of researchers, but you also have a bunch of people that seem to be working a lot with engineers. So rather than like trying to figure out the secrets of any particular life, they're building processes and building different components and stuff like that. And they were mostly sort of housed in the in the middle part of the station, which has come up over and over again as the factory and the factory floor. Nona, in your search for things, you do find something interesting.
What?
That was
Crazy.
gasp face for those of you who cannot see.
You find a cat.
I was thinking that.
Part of R&D 1 had an entire section on psychics and how psychics could be used in robotics. And it seems like some of the research that was being done was seeing if there was something to metadimensional energy that could be leveraged in order to sort of create a vessel for a true AI. Because just all of the necessary requirements, it would require such fine work that you can't really do it unless you blow everything up. And if you blow everything up, it's kind of not useful anymore. So they're
blow up
requiring
as make bigger, or
blow up as in bigger, yeah.
Got it.
So you think of like the first computer and how it needed to be like loaded onto an entire truck, and now we have like smartphones of our day. There was sort of a limitation there going from one to the other that really only psychics could bridge the gap for, and additional work being worked into to seeing if they could maybe house some of that information and utilize metadimensional energy to sort of as the core of it, if that makes sense.
Sort of little bit confused. Were you trying to make robot psychics or use psychics to make robots?
Use psychics to make robots
that could do more cool stuff?
No, just using psychic.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Got
It really what that researching facility seemed to come to the conclusion of is that in order to make something that is akin to true AI, you would need the use of psychics and perhaps as well metadimensional energy, because a physical object wouldn't be able to sort of work that way.
Perfect. Thank you.
The other thing Alix is going to do while we're walking around here is
through residential and recreation or whatever, if I can find like a toy ball or some kind of chew toy, because this is like a pet AI thing,
Yep.
he's gonna pick that up.
Yep, you can find that just fine.
The chew toy is also a robot. Everything is a robot.
Hello. Please throw me. You are very good at throwing me.
Oh, that guy.
So yeah, you guys found a little bit of extra information, as well as during your search, you also find more and more information about what the factory is. It appears to house really all of the it's the money making process of this entire sort of situation. So it deals the most with making robotics parts, making those advanced robotics parts, automating that creation and stuff like that, as well as shipping directly out from there, as well as housing the own internal defense systems of the entire station. Additionally, it appears that it was a very heavily armored part of the structure. It's the most safeguarded of the entire station. So from that, you can assume that's why the Terran mandate seemed to try and go through the second ring in order to infiltrate the station itself.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you guys, you find all of this stuff out. You can go on through anything additionally that you're looking for on this ring.
I would, now that we've been here for a while, potentially be interested in meandering past Kyle Reed's office just to see if anybody has encountered that whole situation yet. You know, nonchalant, whistling, just walking around, trying to see what they have discovered kind of deal.
You are on my ambulatory path.
Hey,
We're
what
just
a
taking a nice stroll.
crazy random happenstance.
So when you visit Kyle Reed's office, the entire sort of pathway of offices, they all appear to have been opened and searched. Not necessarily searched as in I'm looking for this very particular thing and throwing everything out. They appear to have taken some books out and laid them down and just sort of gone through everything. So they appear to have looked through, but it wasn't like they were looking for anything in particular, but they are aware of Kyle Reed and his office, as well as the fact that the body is there. And
cool.
Tony was also familiar with everything that sort of happened
Sure.
within the office as well.
Okay. So I'm assuming that the body is no longer there then.
That's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. That's fine with me.
All right.
All right. So you guys are done sort of doing your second route. Micah, was there anything that you were checking out, looking for?
Nah, so I just wanted to stretch my legs some more.
We're just being friends.
Nona's like, hey, you want to come? I was like, yeah, sure.
Nona's walking and Micah's like doing lunges, like following.
Yeah, basically, actually. That.
Fantastic. I love it.
So yeah, you guys do that. You get some more information. You point Rodana to the information that you were getting about sort of the factory and that shell, and she thanks you guys and says, "I'll get something together."
I forgot a thing.
Yep.
I also would be interested in attempting to find out where the space station was before it did the unauthorized spike drill space
unsecured
jump. Yeah,
hyperdrive.
that thing.
Yeah.
That one.
Sorry, it's a lot of words.
From your study of the notes surrounding, particularly Kyle Reed's notes, it appeared that they were in close proximity to the planet of Gal, considering they were being funded by the Gal oligarchy. So just to keep travel time to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
But now you're in a very different part of the system, so it obviously was able to travel quite a ways during that hyper jump. So yeah, you guys, a couple of days have passed. You've rested and recovered. You've sort of learned a little bit more about the station itself as a whole.
Mm-hmm. At some point, Alix gives that ball to Claire to give her something to do while she's in bed, play with the dog.
Yeah, she She appreciates it.
Good.
They play,
Good, as she should.
they play fetch in the med bay. She can't throw it quite far because she's still a little weak, but she kind of rolls it on the ground and he chases it off after it. So after a couple of days, Rodana meets with you guys again. You guys are outside your ship in the hangar where you guys are sort of hanging out. And she says, I think we've got a plan of action for reaching into the factory. And we'll talk about it next time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get some
Next time we cut. What are you talking about?
next time.
Why are we fading out?
We're here right now.
Why is my voice being so quiet?